Hi, I am Kimmy with On William Street, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter, from the piecing to the quilting and everything in between. So this week we are working on block 6 of our annual quilt along. So remember, all the information that we're going to talk about today can also be found in a blog post. So you can find the link below the video, and that's going to have everything written out. So the measurements are going to be written there. The blocks we're working on are going to be there. Quilting plans, all the information that you need as we go throughout the quilt along can be found in those blog posts. So don't forget to find that link and head over there and check that out. And while you're on our blog, don't forget to check out our shop and find your next modern quilting project. So I have block 6 here, and if you need a reminder on how to build out your sandwiches, go ahead and check out month 1. That's going to have all the information there. And this is going to be the second row and the far right block. So it's going to be one of the edge blocks. So that's the one that we're going to be working on today. So let me go ahead and show you our quilting plan. So here's our quilting plan. As you can see, we are going to be working on some spirals some more. I'm actually going to turn it because I'm going to quilt those side ones this direction. And this week we are putting these spirals into a border. So this works really well with sashings or with borders around your blocks. So I want to make sure that we kind of learn how to do that. But first, as always, we're going to start here in the middle block. And we've done this motif before. It works really well with triangles, squares, shapes. It's just a fun motif to do. And it's a great accent block since how that's not the focus. The spirals were more of our focus on this block. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here on the corner. And we're going to go in and then out. Then along the edge, bump in, bump out, along the edge, in, out, edge, in, out, edge. And that gets us back here to where we're starting. Now, as you can see, this doesn't really connect if you can see really closely, but it's close enough that we're going to pretend like it connects. So from here, I'm actually just going to go ahead and start this first spiral right from this corner. And we're going to come out and spiral it. And as you can see, I'm going to try to fit 2 in here. They may end up being more tall than circular. So just kind of gauge how much space you have and try to make them fit evenly. If you would prefer them to be more circular, you could come over and do just one big one here in the middle. And then go and do the side ones and make everything a little bit bigger. But I'm going to just squish them up a little bit so that I don't have tons of space that I'm trying to fill. So we're going to do a nice tall spiral and then a second tall spiral. And just like I said, make sure you fit the 2 of them in there. And then in the corner, make sure you fill that corner completely. But don't go so big that you've taken space here. And then again, it's just in and out, in and out. And when you're making these, just think of a C, a cursive C. That's really the motion that you're doing here to get into that spiral. And don't try to do anything too spiky. We're not making waves, we're making spirals. And then we're just going to finish there. At this point, however, we are going to go ahead and break our thread because there's no connection to get out here to the outside sections. So now we're going to go ahead and move out and do these sections. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my thread in here. And these are going to be a soft curved point. It's not going to be a sharp curve. So I'm just going to come out here and just bump down, follow along the edge, up and down, edge, up and down. And then just follow along the edge to get to the next one. And I'm just going to do that bump. And then just again, come up here, follow along the outside of the block, kind of like what we've done in most of them. Come down. And I started this down here, but we're actually going to start it on this side. As I was drawing them and I didn't stretch out my quilting path exactly how I would do it. And then again, along the edge, come in, do this one, 1, 2, 3, down to the edge, over to this one, up, down, out, along the edge, 1 more set. So we'll go through that on the machine to make sure that you see how that's a soft bump. Now we're ready to go ahead and do our blocks. So actually from here, you don't need to go back out. We're going to go ahead and start with this spiral thing. I'm going to go down along the side, and I'm actually going to go ahead and do this one first along the side, and then come in and do my spirals. Out, down this side, and then fill in our corner here. Go down over the edge. Then we're going to come down, go over here, 1, 2, 3. And then from here, I want my spirals to all go the same direction. So when I get done with this one, I'm just going to come back out along the edge where I was so that they all kind of go the same direction. Out, fill in our back and forth lines. And we've done these ones already too. You kind of keep them close together and just go back and forth. Come in, do my 3 bumps, out, spiral it, and then fill in, and then last corner, come in, bump, come back out, spiral it, do the line, fill in the last corner. So this should be a fairly quick block. There's not a lot of super heavy, dense quilting, so it should go fairly quickly. So let's go ahead and start quilting. So now we're ready to start quilting. So first thing I'm going to do is just pick up my bobbin thread. Then I'm going to screw the bobbin thread underneath. My top thread will join it soon. And make sure we put our foot down. Just going to take a couple of quick stitches to kind of get that in there. I want my needle down. And then I want to take that top thread and pull it underneath and get both of those out of the way. So we don't, oh, that didn't work. So that we don't have to worry about grabbing those as we're stitching later. So now first we're going to start with our little in and out lines. Just going to show them to you, maybe not. Our in and out lines here in the middle. So I'm going to go up, down, along the edge, up, down, along the edge. And we're just doing a small bump in and out. So now that section is done. And remember, if you're having troubles getting it to be smooth, try going just a little bit faster. It's a little bit easier to make smooth curves if you're going fast than if you're going really slow. Now we're going to go ahead and do the spiral borders. Like I said, I'm going to start here. I'm going to pull my threads into the center since we're done with that section. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the back one first. So I'm just going to be looping a line on the back and then make a nice spiral. And then a second spiral right next to it. Now on this, make a spiral, try to fill the space, but it's okay if you don't touch the edges. We're making a kind of a inside border section, so it's okay if you don't touch the edges, but try to fill that space. Don't make little tiny spirals in the center. Now we're gonna go ahead and do our corner one. I'm gonna turn it so you can see a little bit better. So this one I'm gonna be a little bit bigger. Remember, these ones we kind of did tall and skinny to fit 2 of them in there. But this one's gonna be a little bit bigger and make sure that we're filling that whole corner. Now I'm going to turn my quilt because I want to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. I definitely encourage you to try not to turn your block as much as possible. That way you're going to get used to being able to quilt these motifs in any direction so that when you're on a big quilt, it's easier to do. So then from here, we're going to go ahead and just pull up the thread. So I'm going to pull it out a little bit so I can hold on to it. Then I'm going to go down right on top of my stitch line. One more time, pull it up. We're going to put the top down. That's going to make it easier. And then what I can do is I can pull both sides, and that's going to grab that bottom thread. So we can pull it out and clip that off. Get those out of the way. And now we're ready to move on to the next section. So I'm going to go ahead and place it down on one of my outside triangles. Remember, we're going to do the back and forth lines all around the outside. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We're going to start on the outside here, because then that's going to make it so that I end in the right place. And I only want to do about 3, so I'm just kind of looking to just kind of evenly space them across. So you could even think like 1, 2, 3. Split this into 4 sections and aim for those 3 lines that separate out the sections. Pull our thread to the top. All right, so now let me just go ahead and show you what I mean about a soft curve. Take a couple of small stitches in place to anchor that thread. And then I'm just going to curve into the center line and then gently curve back out. Then we're going to go down along the edge a little bit to about the middle of the block, and we're going to do a second line. And that one is done. So then we're going to follow along the edge. To our next section. Trying to figure out the best way for you to see what I'm doing. Probably about like this. And really the difference between the soft point and a hard point on this is I'm not stopping at that center line. I just keep on going through. All right, so now we're done with that, and we're going to go ahead and edge back along to the other triangle. Remember, when we're going along the edge, to stay nice and close to that edge so that it hides in the seams. So for the corner block, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go to the top edge of our border here. And like I said, I normally wouldn't turn this as much. I would probably turn it the other way, but I wanna make sure that you can see what I'm doing. So try to keep the least amount of fabric in the throat of the machine as possible. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm just gonna go ahead along the top. And here we're just gonna do the same that we did on these inside, very inside triangles, the little arch from corner to corner. Now from here, stitch back along the edge. And now we're ready to go ahead and put in our spiral border. Now because I've got this big patch that I'm kind of trying to fill, I'm not gonna go all the way down to the bottom. I'm gonna start it as if it was like kind of halfway through a spiral. And that's gonna fill in this section without leaving a big empty section back here. And I'm just gonna put the 3 in there and then back along the edge. Now from here, I want to just make a straight shot here. Roll it, turn around again. From this corner all the way across to the other corner. And this is something, again, if you wanted to mark it, you could. But I would definitely do that before you start quilting, and it's gonna make it easier. But if you wait, you could still come in and mark it. Now from here, we're just gonna fill in this whole corner with back and forth lines. I'm just gonna make sure that I keep all my lines going the same direction. So if I'm doing them this way and here, I wanna make sure that I don't accidentally swap them and go, this way on one of them. So I want to pay attention. If you wanted to swap them, you could just make sure that however you do it, you maintain that same pattern. So I'm going to make sure that they're all going back and forth this way so that when it's in the quilt, they just look like they're horizontal lines. I will tell you, this one's probably, because of the edge, going to be a little bit easier to stitch it this way so you have fabric for the most part on both sides for most of the corner. All right, so from there, now we're ready to go ahead and just stitch along this edge again and go over to the next corner. If you find the fabric's kind of bunching along the edge, just pull it tight on both sides of it, and that will keep it down as you stitch over that loose edge. All right, so now we're ready to repeat. I'm gonna go ahead and stitch down along the edge. And the first thing I'm gonna do is go in and stitch that border. So now I've stitched down the side, and the first thing I'm gonna do, because I'm already on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and stitch out the border first, and then I'll sneak in and grab the triangle. I just wanna make sure that the border goes the same direction all the way around. So that's why I'm making sure to start and stop on the same sides. Now we'll stitch back along the top to get to that outside triangle. And then to keep things even, I am going to continue stitching out the side I didn't stitch and then come across and do that line. Now, last thing I need to do is fill in those back and forth lines. We're gonna go this way to make sure they go the same direction as the last ones. And then from there, I'm just gonna go ahead along the edge over to the next corner and just repeat it exactly the same as I did this one. So now we have block 6 done, and we practiced some fun spirals and some more back and forth lines and learned some border motifs, which are always useful. So we're going to come back in a week and we will put blocks 4, 5, and 6 together, and then we'll join them to our previous row and have the first half of the quilt all done. As always, don't forget, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our shop where you can see all the fun things that we're working on and new patterns that we have already. And don't forget that all the information is in the blog post. So you'll see that in the link below. So that's going to be your quilting plans and blank blocks so you can print it out and practice doodling it, whatever you need. All that information is in the blog post. So don't forget to head over there and check that out before you get started. And we'll see you next time.